Welcome, everybody. It's another exciting edition of The Sports Hole. I'm your host, Luke. With me, as always, XFL Jim, rock and roll Matty Goldberg. Fellas, what's up?
What's up, boys?
What's going on, dogs?
You know, how we do it?
Pretty good, man.
You good?
Yeah.
I'm feeling
funny, Jim.
I'm feeling pissed off from like Sunday still, but I'm doing pretty good.
Why did Sunday piss you off?
The playoff, the college football playoff committee.
We'll get to that.
I know we'll get that. We'll get to that.
Should I get to the bone? I got a problem with Jim real fast.
Yeah, everybody wants to know what the problem. That's why people tune in, Matty.
So Jim was doing his other podcast on Sunday,
right? Yeah.
So
we shouted you out, Matty.
Not good enough.
Wow.
I'm royalty, bitch.
I put your comment up and we shouted you out. What are you talking about?
I didn't.
Chase even answered your question.
Yeah, but the reason why is that's the kid that I went to high school with. That's his son is going to Arkansas.
Well, Matty, why don't you tell the viewers at home what you exactly you're referring to?
No, you guys didn't mention it. I just said,
set this up for us, Matty. What happened?
So, I'm royalty. I'm the dude. I'm the guy.
Okay.
I'm quoting Stuttering John, by the way. He's been saying that. He goes,
is that his new move?
Yeah. He goes, I'm the guy. I'm the dude. So I come in the chat and I'm excited to see Chase because a friend that grew up with his son just signed to play for Arkansas, which is he's the fourth best high school basketball player ranked. He dropped to 40 because he hurt his knee, but he was still number 4, and I think he's better now. So it's a big deal. I wanted to tell him that. They're like, I'll be rooting for Arkansas. And these guys just were like, oh, Matty's here. And it wasn't like the red carpet should have been rolled the fuck out.
You're right, man. I should have sent you a link right away.
So no, but does Chase know that I grew up with his dad? That's all I wanted.
He said it was sick. Yeah. So when you first texted me about that, I immediately told him. I sent him a screenshot, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah. All right. Never mind.
You feel okay now, Matty? What else do you feel slighted by this week?
Well, Luke, we haven't talked much, although I will feel a little slighted by you and your wife because you didn't comment much on our Bachelor in Paradise text thread. So that's my bone.
We didn't text enough. We didn't text enough on the text thread. You didn't text
enough. No,
Matty, you got a woman on there that hasn't contributed one single text to that.
I know. We kicked her off.
Oh, did we kick her off?
Well, yeah. I mean, she was all into it, and I'm like, "Well, I'll put you on the thread," and then she didn't respond.
Can we call this segment?
We all know her in real life too.
Yeah,
it's not like she's never met us and hung out.
Yeah.
Can we call this segment Matty G's Boneyard?
Oh, I'm mad at everybody.
It's a recurrent. Trust me, we would never run out of material. We could actually do a spin-off podcast just on Matty's grievances for the week. Every week.
I feel like you guys need to participate, Luke and your wife. You guys need to participate more in the text.
Matty, I have some upsetting news. I actually have to work on Thursday, so I will not be there. You guys can go ahead and text. I'll just mute the combo. No, I'll mute the combo.
Can I ask you a question? This is not appropriate to ask during this, but did they cut the first hour of Bachelor in Paradise off for the old farts?
No, I think they cut off like 10 minutes or something.
I was so mad.
Are they running both those at the same time?
Well, but it was the final one of Golden Bachelor, and Gary from Indiana finally found some love with Teresa.
Wait.
Oh, he's from Indiana. That checks out.
I thought it was going to be a disaster because I'm like, the point of the show is you're looking at the most beautiful people. So, like, if you're a guy, you see all hot chicks. If you're a girl, you see hot dudes. So I'm like, who wants to look at 7-year-old geezers? But I think the ratings were incredible.
Well, Matty, I'm telling you, some of those women were hot.
Agreed.
As old as they were
I know really Jim would find them hot, but I don't know, bro.
I think you also might underestimate the amount of TV old people watch.
This is Jim's like, that's Jim.
Jim also thinks Sonny is hot.
Jim
Facts.
found a bunch
Sonny.
of like women he can hang out at Bill Knapp's with. Like he's definitely,
Yeah.
oh, these are some women I can take to Bob Evans with no problem. And
Prison Sonny we're talking about.
Prison Sonny, that's a whole different story though. That's a little something different. That's another satisfies another kink of Jim.
That's a different season.
Women behind bars, cage
But
theory.
the ratings were incredible. I don't think it has. I guess it's just
It was very sweet. The show was very sweet. It was like very pure. It was very sweet. It was like, but now there's rumors that guy kind of might have had a secret girlfriend somewhere else too.
Yeah, but yeah. Guess what? He's a normal guy. Like
even though he's like 72. No, you're always a dirtbag.
Everybody's got dirt on everybody. You know what they do though? It's just dumb because I saw the ending because I'm waiting for the Bachelor in Paradise. He does this dumb thing where, and they do this on the show where it's like, I'm not in love with you. And then it's like, I'm 100 million times percent in love with you.
Matty, that was the best pregnant pause anybody's ever done in the whole entire Bachelor franchise.
I think what he's saying, he's like, I don't love you. I can't. It was like, I can't live without you or something.
Yeah, but it was like such a pregnant pause. And then he got down on his knee and proposed, and she said yes, and everyone was happy except Matty.
Yeah.
Everyone cried.
Matty's never fucking
happy.
happy.
I was pissed because I like the beach, and the beach is fun, and the beach is wild, and we lost like 10 minutes or whatever of pure just kids being idiots, like 25-year-old hot guys and girls fucking each other over. I mean, that's what I like.
Well, don't worry. There's still a week or two left in that. I don't know how much longer.
Well, it's engagement week this week.
Oh, is it? This is it. This is the end.
So, yeah. So that was my bone with Jim, and I guess we should get to sports because it is a sports hole. But
Matty, who do you think was more upset? You when Golden Bachelor interrupted Bachelor in Paradise, or Florida State when all their dreams were crushed after doing exactly what the fuck they were supposed to do and win every single game they played?
You know, I think we should start with this because it does bother all of us. I think we're all on the same page, and I don't give a fuck about, Florida State playing the 50th best schedule versus Alabama playing the 10th or whatever. You're in a Power 5 conference. You go undefeated. I don't care who fucking plays. I don't care if you have to have your intramural team play the playoffs. You find ways to go undefeated. You deserve a chance at the national championship, bar none. That's all I gotta say.
I think most people were in agreement with that as well.
Although the only thing I do think Florida State deserved to get in, but I was thinking that night, and I texted you guys this. I was like, the system sucks if Alabama and Georgia don't have the opportunity. Like, how can you not have those two teams with the opportunity to go to the championship? I mean, they almost got away. Like, they've had the top four for what? How many years now? Like 7 or 8, 10 years.
This is
10 years.
This is year 10 because
Yeah,
they started
so
it for the 2013 season.
Yeah, they've never had controversy like this, and it finally caught up to them the last year.
Yeah, no, it's funny that this was the very last year, and this was the most controversial year.
Yeah, because
they've had like a couple controversies,
but not like this.
No, not like this. Like Ohio, like year one, obviously Ohio State over TCU and Baylor was a little controversial. Some other ones like Alabama a couple seasons ago, I think it was in like 2019. But nothing like this, nothing even close to this. This sets a really bad press. I get that we're going into the 12-team playoff next year.
Yeah.
But this kind of sets the precedent, as long as the committee's running things, that the regular season doesn't fully matter.
Well, this will be like we said, this will be the last year that a Michigan, Ohio State, both teams undefeated matter because they both get in. If they have 1 loss, 0 losses going, Ohio State would be in if there was a top 12 this year. So that game doesn't have the significance that it once had.
I would argue that every single one of Florida State's games doesn't have the significance it should have this year. None of their games matter.
That's fine.
Exactly.
And
did they even play?
They already don't matter. Like the games already don't matter. So I
agree. They got screwed.
I'm tired of people who are like against expanding the playoffs making the argument that the regular season's a playoff because that's a lie.
But they got screwed. And
I would say I
yeah.
would say the conference championships are a playoff, a de facto playoff.
I would say they are a
yeah.
play-in.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, college basketball, it's almost better you lose your conference tournament, because then it's so hard to win 10, 11 games in a row. You're better off getting a loss in your conference tournament so you can kind of fix what you're doing wrong and rest. And it's also like 2 less games or less wear and tear on your body. Now, granted, there are teams that win their conference and then win the championship, but a lot of times there's teams that are really good to win their conference that get knocked out in the first round.
Oh,
Now,
it'll
go
be
ahead.
even crazier going forward, just because you'll have like potentially like 2 to 3 undefeated teams in a conference, like undefeated in conference play, because the conferences are getting so big.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is what we'll see is like, did Liberty go undefeated or did they
Yes.
lose?
No, they
So
went
then
undefeated.
it's like we'll see next year. Like, did they deserve to be number 12?
They would have been if the 12-team playoff was happening this year. They would have been number 12.
Is there an easy way to figure all this out? Who would be in? Like,
They so obviously
what are
the
the
conference
rules?
champions. So like with the 12 team, Washington, Michigan, Alabama, and Florida State, or Texas and Florida State probably is how they would have done it with the 12 team.
Mhm.
They would have gotten a first round bye. And then you would have had it where it's like Alabama versus whoever. No, it would have been like
they would have
Alabama
played
versus Liberty or
Georgia. I'm
something like
saying
that.
Georgia would have made it. Ohio State, Missouri, I think would have probably made it.
Yeah. Oregon would have made it. I think Ole Miss would have made it.
What about Penn State?
Penn State would have been like right in there too.
Like 12th or 11th.
Yep. I think you'd have to kick one team out, so maybe it would have been Penn State. It's either Penn State or Ole Miss would have been booted, and then you have the G5 team in there.
I would keep Ole Miss in.
I would have kicked Ole Miss out. I think Ole Miss is.
I think Missouri deserved
overrated
to make it. I think they had a great year. I mean, they came out of nowhere. I mean, they kind of were like what Tennessee was last year.
I think Missouri was the 3rd best team in the SEC.
They were great.
Okay,
I have it right in front of me now.
Okay.
Here's the first round would have been Liberty versus Florida State. This is just based on these rankings, so Florida State's still 5.
Sure.
Liberty versus Florida State, Missouri versus Oregon would have been a banger.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Ole Miss versus Georgia, that one sucks. We've already seen that one. Penn State versus Ohio State, already saw that one.
Yeah.
And then the quarterfinals would have been probably Florida State versus Alabama. Banger.
I think they need to redo that. I don't want to see conferences playing each other in the first round.
Wouldn't it be fun to see Michigan versus Ohio State in like the semifinals?
This is just purely based off of like what the rankings show now, but they would have. So your top 4 conference champions get a bye.
So conference champions get a bye.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would they have fucked over Liberty because Liberty's a small school? Like, would they go, oh, let's go with Penn State over Liberty because, like, are they going to fuck the little guys?
They probably will if there's like no undefeated or 1-loss G5, but they did say they're kind of like putting one of the where the G5 New Year's 6 is. They're kind of just slotting that into the 12th team for the playoff, probably.
How mad were you for Florida State?
I was extremely mad, and then they used their bullshit logic on Florida State, but they don't use the same logic when it comes to like SMU getting a shot at the New Year's 6 bowl.
Well, what do you think?
If we're going by the best teams, SMU is a way better team than Liberty. But guess what? Liberty didn't play any Power 5 schools all year, so they don't have the 2 losses.
Right.
All right, here's my other problem. I watched,
I just want consistency. Curious.
So Sunday morning, 9:00, I'm up. I can't really watch the NFL pregame shows. They're all really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I did watch the selection show, and it seemed like the ESPN guys they all knew who was going to make it, and they all had to sell. And I understand that fucking what's his face played quarterback there, McElroy, is that his name? Greg McElroy.
Oh, Greg McElroy.
Yeah, and he's a good analyst. He doesn't bother me, but it just seemed like they were so hard selling Alabama and nobody was like, "Hey, this is bullshit." It just seemed like
Booger was big. Booger
he was the one.
Booger was
big.
he laid it out very well.
Yeah,
He's
he
very
was the one
adamant.
guy. But it just seems like ESPN was part of this decision because they're like an SEC team has to, it's bigger money. Florida State's a big program, but Alabama's Alabama.
No, yeah, a Bama Michigan game is going to draw through the roof easily.
Oh,
easily. The funny thing though is too is if Georgia would have won, we would have had the best playoff ever as far as like
all
the best
undefeated.
of everybody undefeated conference champions all coming together.
So who gets knocked out? Texas?
No disputes about who should be there.
Look, 4th and 31 fucked things up too.
Yeah,
it did.
So
yeah, that was the other thing where people were acting like Florida State's looked like garbage. They haven't looked great. They looked fine against Florida, but like Alabama hasn't looked like incredible all season. Because it's not just Auburn. Like they barely beat Arkansas. They barely beat a bad Texas A&M team. They barely beat beat US like USF. Come on.
I don't think Louisville's a great team, but you find ways to win, and there's something to be said about going to your third string quarterback to win a big game.
That defense is legit.
You deserve to make it to the Final Four. It's like you go undefeated, you play Clemson, you destroyed LSU. They fucking destroyed LSU. They beat Clemson, they got lucky there. They basically coasted, then the quarterback gets hurt. And then the second guy who's pretty good gets hurt. You still did what you had to do.
Yeah, no,
it disgusts me.
It's terrible. And if Bama somehow doesn't look good in their bowl game and they lose bad or not well, I mean, like shit's really gonna hit the fan because I do like
on the other side of the coin. I do think Michigan Bama is a great matchup.
No, it's great. I'm excited for it. And I like and being a Michigan fan, I'm like, I want it because if we actually did win the whole thing this year and we didn't have to play an SEC team wasn't involved in you'd never hear the end of it. Like
I would take it.
They wouldn't. It's not like I wouldn't take it, but I'm like, it's also like, it's just an excuse, and especially with all the fucking bullshit.
Listen. Yeah. Playing Florida State is a lot easier than playing in Alabama, that's for sure. Like if you got Florida State, you're like, phew.
Yeah, I say that, except we fucking shit the bed against TCU last year.
That
so it's like,
true.
Who cares? Just go out there. I think it's actually better because it gets you more locked in. It's like it's fucking badass Bama.
Yep.
You have
to. It's gonna be a hell of a game, I'll tell you that.
I'm excited for both playoff matches,
both games are great, and I don't know what to think about Georgia and Florida State, how much that game matters because
Matty, I'll make it easy for you. Yeah. It matters zero. It doesn't matter at all.
I don't know. I think both teams are going to feel burned. I mean, we'll see.
You're going to see so many opt. You're going to see so many opt.
The problem with bowl games, and this is like, it's so hard to gamble on them because sometimes teams just do not show up. Like sometimes they go to places, they have fun, they party, and they like the main guys now sit out, which is a problem. And it's just like when I was listening to Jed Fish talk about Arizona playing Oklahoma, it's like, how can you bet on him when he's saying like, oh well, we're gonna have a couple guys that are gonna sit out for the NFL, and then we're gonna play a bunch of guys that we never play, and you're okay.
It's not even just opt-outs for the NFL with all them like kids transferring and everything like that. Once the transfer portal opens, it goes crazy.
Yeah,
it's already nuts. So since we're on college football, I'm gonna pop in and talk about some of the name transfers right now, including Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord from Ohio State, who fucking led them to 11 wins or 10 wins.
You better spend that money. Open that checkbook up, Matt Rule. Start writing some checks.
So Matt Rule, Will Howard. And also Cam Ward from Washington State.
Will Howard from Kansas State as well.
Back in the day, Bruce Coslett
led them to a conference championship.
Yeah, so Matt Rule came out last week and was like, it costs, just so you guys know, it costs about $1 to $2 million to get a good quarterback in the
Do you guys ever remember a coach named Bruce Coslett? He coached the Jets and the Bengals.
Yeah.
He had a great quote years ago about free agency in the NFL because he came from the college game, and he's like, "Oh, it's a lot like getting players in college. Except this time we're paying them over the table."
Oh yeah, another guy is DJ Uwangalele from Oregon State's transferring.
Again?
I go for Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, that's right.
That's the guy you want to get. I think he's pretty solid. He's he can run, he can do stuff. He had a good year with Oklahoma. If I was gonna get a guy, I would get him. I don't know who Ohio State have coming in, but
Cam Ward to Ohio State, baby.
Is that what it is?
I don't know, but I think that'd be a really good fit.
It just seems like these guys are like they're going to like 4 colleges. I don't know how.
Well, fucking Jaden Daniels at Rice is on his like 5th.
I think he retired.
He's not. He played for Rice.
I know, but he retired. He said like too many injuries after this.
Well, look, you can suppose you're some of these guys that might not really make it in the NFL or even get drafted.
No.
If you can milk this fucking NIL, then so be it.
Yeah.
Transfer, get the bag while you can.
But you're getting these guys that are on like year 7.
But here's the thing, though. Like,
the COVID people need to just be fucking done. Like, I wish they would have a cap at like 23, 24 max.
The only I'm cool with it, obviously, with the transfers and being crazy. It's kind of insane. This is maybe just me speculating. I don't know. I don't have any things to back this up, but it feels like it's kind of fucking over the high school recruits a little bit. I feel like it has to be.
Well, sure. If they go in thinking they're like they just got to beat out one guy or something, then they bring in some hotshot dude. Yeah. But you know what? Those guys are also they have opportunities to grab the bag when they come in too.
Oh, for sure.
We'll take like Manning, Archie Manning's kid, our Manning kid. So he's the 3rd string at Texas. Everybody talked about how great he is in high school. He didn't get the 2nd string. So probably Ewers leaves after this year.
No, all signs are pointing to him coming back.
Yeah, I think Ewers is coming back.
Another team goes, hey, you come here, you'll start right away. So, that's the way it goes now. Now it's like you go where you can play.
Maybe, maybe not, because also with him, it's like, why aren't you starting? So I don't think people are quick to sign him so fast because he doesn't have anything proven in college. Another guy, though, that's going under the radar is Dante Moore. He started a bunch of games for UCLA, got benched, but he was a true freshman. He's out of Detroit.
5-star.
So he's in the portal now too. Yeah, he was a 5-star, like one of the top quarterbacks in the country. So I don't know.
Though, Matt Rule should shut his mouth because like Nebraska's making hundreds of millions of dollars. They sell out that stadium. It's like this is college football. This is it. You're successful. You're good at Temple. You're good at Baylor. You sucked in the NFL. This is college. You had a decent year. Shut the fuck up. Open your checkbook and get like a DJ.
Yeah, but that's not up to that's not up to the school.
Yeah, Matt Rule's not like cutting a check. Like, yeah, where do I make the check out?
Then get another job.
No, what do you mean?
Pick up a part-time job to pay a quarterback?
I'm saying obviously Nebraska's going to open a checkbook up for a quarterback.
But it's not the school can't do it. It's got to be the collectives.
It's the boosters. Basically the ones who used to pay the illegal ones back in the day.
They'll pay.
Like NC State's Dave Dorn was asking the same thing. He was begging people to be like, hey, we need money and we need boosters to do it to compete with this stuff.
Why can't the school pay?
Because the schools can't directly pay athletes.
There actually has been a proposal for the schools to directly pay. I don't know what the status of that is. I think
you ever see the movie Reservoir Dogs?
Of course.
Yeah.
The scene where he goes, I don't want to work at the dock. You don't have to do shit. We'll give you a time card. You punch it in. And if that asshole Skignetti says you went to Tustin to do some stuff. So that's what you do. You bring these guys in, you pay them under the table, and then you give them a job working at like Golden Corral, and you pay them $2 million to be a busboy.
No, I mean,
I feel like someone will get to the bottom of that.
The NIL will pay them a shitload.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, but that's on the collectives and the boosters.
The college can do it too. They can easily do it under the table.
Well, the college, here's the deal, though, too. I saw in the proposal that it would almost have to be evenly distributed due to Title IX. So you'd be
Well,
kind
the
of hampered, even though
volleyball-
the football program is bringing in 90% of the income for all sports.
I don't know. The volleyball's pretty hot there.
Well, in Nebraska, yes,
Yeah.
but probably other places not so much.
Reading that article, Luke, it made me think that it's going to create another division of football, basically, between like the schools that can spend that kind of money and the ones that can't. Because it seemed like every student athlete minimum, they had to be able to like afforded $30,000 a year minimum.
Listen, in 10 years, the college sports will look exactly like the NFL. They will have like a 32 team power conference, and everybody else it'll be like how like British Premier League. When you're not in the Premier, you're in this other league, and maybe you can get an at-large bid into the
It would be very
playoffs.
fun if it was like NFL, but they also had regulation and promotion.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but it will look like there will just be a super conference, and those will be the 32 teams that buy it out for it, and the rest hope to get in next year.
The rest will basically just be FCS.
Right. That's just the way this shit is all going, because they're not going to settle for this Florida State bullshit again.
Oh, Florida State is on their way to leaving the ACC. Did you guys see that? Like, it looked like, I don't know if this was true or not, or if it was just a rumor. I saw something that a lot of ACC schools reached out to the Big 12.
Oh, really? Why the Big 12?
Because they're still kind of a conference that's getting good TV deals and money, and they're still somewhat looked at as legit.
Okay.
Because at least top to bottom, I feel the Big 12 is stronger than the ACC.
Does college basketball even matter?
What do you mean?
I would say so.
Because a lot of
it's
these
the only
schools are
other
huge
revenue
college
generating sport.
Because a lot of these schools are huge college. Like the ACC is a better conference than the SEC for the most part. It's gotten very close in college basketball, but for years the ACC was 100 times better. And
no, the big money though is football.
The big money is football.
Yeah,
basketball makes money. It's the only other really like revenue driving sport. But the football is the.
Well, what I can say is the grass isn't always greener, because the Big East was a massive conference in college basketball in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it was big time. And they kind of disbanded, and they all went to the ACC, Syracuse, Boston College. And now a lot of them came back. Like UConn came back because they realized that the grass wasn't greener. And I'm sure Syracuse probably wishes they were back. I mean, I know there's more money in ACC football, but they're getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm telling you, things are going to look completely different in 10 years.
I mean, look at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd probably have a much better record if they stayed in the Big 12 than getting their ass kicked in the SEC. I mean,
we'll see how Texas and Oklahoma fare too.
Yeah.
No.
And we'll see how Washington and USC do in the Big 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird thinking USC and all those teams, but it's you just gotta, tradition changes, I guess, because
we're gonna get I think like those pumpkin patch weekends are gonna be much fewer and far between in college, at least.
Well, Michigan has to, they got to stop playing cupcakes at the beginning of the year, and all those.
You don't have to worry about that anymore, because now Jim read through Michigan's schedule, next year, and it's like fucking a bunch of top 20 teams right up.
The days of Middle Tennessee State University are over.
No, they'll still be there. Maybe. I don't even know if you can have out of conference games at this point, but it just won't matter, because your conference is going to be so loaded to begin with.
I
guess we can all agree that Florida State got fucked.
Yes, I believe we can all agree on that.
I could also agree that through all the changes of college football and all the turbulations and everything like that, I just made that up. The MAC will stay the same. The MAC will stand strong.
Maction.
The MAC is not like the MAC really hasn't changed. If you think about it, they're like the only conference that's not adding or taking away teams. They're just chugging along.
Is the MAC even real? Have you ever been to a MAC game?
Wednesday still?
I have been to one.
Where?
I went to one in Toledo.
Okay, so it is a real thing you can go to?
It is. It's beautiful.
Okay. Just doesn't exist on Tuesday nights.
There's some good players
in November. In November, it does.
Okay.
We're talking Ben Roethlisberger. We're talking
Randall Moss,
Julian Edelman. I mean, all decent MAC players.
Chad Pennington.
Yeah, from
Antonio
Marshall.
Brown.
Leftwich.
Mhm.
Antonio Brown, baby.
Yep.
Mhm. That's right, Maction. Okay. Are we done bitching about college sports yet?
Yeah, should we get to the NFL?
Yeah.
Okay. Let us go to the NFL. Where are we at? There. So, Niners thumping the Eagles in what looks like it's going to be a conference finals preview. Are you guys overreacting if you are
No,
an
not
Eagles
at all.
fan?
I said the 49ers would win big.
Mhm.
And the only reason why is because watching football and realizing like what the toll on the body that it takes, the Eagles to win 3 emotional games in a row is almost impossible. So I think they really wanted to beat the Chiefs. Then they had this tough overtime game where they left it all on the field to beat Buffalo, and then to come back and play San Francisco.
Yeah, I think they didn't have anything left in the tank.
Well, that's what I hear. They're tired, but we've also this is San Francisco at their healthiest.
Yeah, and San Francisco put this game on their calendar. This was a calendar game from last year. They had 4 extra days to rest. They came in healthy and they did a little ass whipping. But
you think if these two teams meet in the playoffs and they're both healthy, you think it's a different outcome?
Field goal game.
Oh, really?
I think it really depends to me on how well the Eagles can run block. Because if the 49ers could just like get momentum with running, you're not stopping Christian McCaffrey behind Juszczyk and Trent Williams ever. Like that's impossible to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they did tackle. The Eagles just looked absolutely exhausted, and they gotta go to Dallas this week. So these 4 games are just insane, and to split it is pretty darn impressive. Okay. So even if they lose this week, I'm still not that worried about them because this is one of the toughest 4-week schedule. And if they do win this week, to win 3 out of 4 is fucking impressive.
Oh, it's crazy. I'm
not. It's overreaction.
I also love trash talking Deebo Samuel.
Oh yeah, it's fun,
I love Deebo so much.
But I got news for you. Even if Brock Purdy was healthy last year, they lose that game by 14, 15 points. They weren't winning that game.
You think so?
No. They were already down like 10-0. When he got hurt.
Oh, you heard that.
I'm just saying, the Eagles were going to win that game.
You heard that, Bosa. What are you going to do about it? Matty's said you're a bitch.
Look, I think the 49ers probably make the Super Bowl if they stay healthy, but it's a lot closer than this game.
Okay.
This game
I agree with that.
This game was more the Eagles were absolutely gassed.
All right. Last night we were introduced to the Jake Browning machine.
Shocking.
What do you mean introduced? He's a Washington legend.
Washington legend Jake Browning, the now number QB1 for the Bengals. He went 32 of 37, 354 yards, 2 total touchdowns.
I'm happy for Jake Browning. I love this guy. I'm so happy for him.
To remember. He certainly had I looked at him as a practice squad guy, but they were saying that his high school numbers, I think as a senior, he threw 90 touchdowns in a season, which is like insane. I mean, he was like a complete high school legend, had a very good college career. Then, you get to the next level, it gets that much harder. And he's kicked around, and it was a beautiful moment. It was good for the Bengals because they seemed like such a Joe Burrow. It's all on Burrow's shoulders. So to see that they can win a tough game. I mean, I was impressed by Lawrence until he got hurt. He was great yesterday too. It's just Browning was great. And I saw a picture. I don't want to throw that much shade at Deshaun Watson, but they showed him this week in the booth, like up in a luxury box. And they show Burrow on the sidelines, doing everything. And there's something to be said about that. I mean, Burrow was very into the game, and not that I don't know how much that helps, but I mean, it certainly hasn't helped the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is on the sidelines, and that doesn't help. But
hinders because he's passing out pamphlets about the Illuminati.
I love watching Trevor Lawrence too. I think he's.
Do you know how the Jags could have won that game? They should have brought in Jake Locker.
Yeah.
They're like, we got our own Washington Jake throwaway.
I
and
mean,
then
there's
just
some good
put 'em in.
Washington quarterbacks. Washington State. You got Drew Bledsoe from Washington State. You
Yeah.
got Gardner Minshew finished his career there. He's been great.
Yeah, they're putting together some wins.
I mean, Gardner Minshew is in my opinion, the best backup in football. Like he's like the Ryan Fitzpatrick Swiss Army knife. Like
Mm-hmm.
he always finds the field, no matter where he is. You're gonna have him as
He's a
backup.
slinger.
He's a slinger, and he's gonna find the field. And
Who do the Jags go to now, though?
Well, they got Beathard, and I mean, I don't know how. I don't think Lawrence is out for the year. It looks like he just maybe a couple weeks. I don't think he's out for the season. But it definitely hurts them because they were making a push for, first round bye, and I don't think they're ready this year to make that. I think they're 1 or 2 more years away if they keep staying on track. But I think it opens the doors for the great Miami Dolphins to sneak in and be the number 1 seed and try to win it all. Because they got the talent and the defense is getting better.
I want the Jags to start CFL legend Nathan Rourke and MAC legend Nathan Rourke.
Wow,
he's the third string guy.
With that resume,
he looked great in the preseason.
Sorry, I'm just gonna sit like I do at therapy because it's more comfortable for my back.
You sit like that in therapy, like you're trying to seduce your therapist. Look at you.
I kind of do.
It's kind of hot,
slutty man.
But she told me to be. She says be comfortable.
Okay.
All right. You want to take your shirt off?
Sure.
Would that make you more comfortable? All right.
Oh,
I just saw a nip.
Yeah, nip slip. All right.
Nip slip.
Another compelling game we had was the Chargers over the Pats.
6-0.
6-0.
I had a bet. I think I got
stuck.
like 3-1 that every team playing at 1:00 would get to 10 points. And I was like, oh, that was stupid.
If I was a dictator, I'd line up everybody on both sides and have them all executed.
Yeah,
there's no excuse for that in the NFL. I'm sorry.
The crazy thing is I think the Patriots are 0-4 in their last 4 games, and they've let up the least amount of points.
Yeah.
In the whole league in that time?
The last 4 weeks.
I think so.
Hilarious.
Their defense is like playing crazy.
So it just says that, like, yeah, Belichick, bring him to Los Angeles for the Chargers or the Bills and let him fix the defense. It could get him over the top. I was arguing with another guy. I thought Belichick was cooked, but maybe he goes to a team that just needs defensive help and lets the Chargers, like maybe the Chargers, but it's a shit show in New England. They don't really know what to do because it's like, he does 9 Super Bowl appearances.
You can't fire him.
Well, that team's I feel like that team's too far away from doing anything for him to like stay there and rebuild the offense.
Well, if you get Cal Williams or something like that, I mean, then you change everything.
What's their record? I don't even know if they're gonna. I mean,
2-10 or something.
Okay, maybe. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. But he's also
it's gonna be hard for them to pass the Panthers.
Listen, right now they're number 2, and probably the Panthers will draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, that pick's going to Chicago anyway.
So. Okay, my bad. Yeah, that's pretty fucked. They're fucked.
Yeah,
the Bears have a tough decision because it's like, do you get Caleb Williams or do you have faith that Justin Fields will be good with Marvin Harrison Jr.? It's a tough one.
No, it is tough, but I mean, Fields has looked good in spurts, but I don't know. Then they throw a bunch of screen pass. It's
that's the thing.
I don't know.
There's gonna be a CJ Stroud out there, and you gotta get that guy. You can't fuck that up.
It's gonna be Drake May.
They'll have
I'm not a Drake.
I mean, depending on how they finish the season, they'll have 2 top 10 picks, so they could pick like a lesser quarterback, a lesser heralded one that still might be very good.
That is true.
I
mean, the Texans had the best draft. They got a big defensive guy, and they got CJ Stroud in like the top 5 picks, and like you win the draft, and then you can turn it around. But if you fuck up, it's like it always just sets you back. But the Pats have an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback, and that might make Belichick want to stay. But he's so old, like you would maybe need 3 years before you really start contending with like a new guy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be so far, and he's too old to rebuild it.
Yeah.
So why not just fucking peace out, do what Brady did, go to a team that could be ready to win with your help, and see if it works. That's
I
what I
think
do.
the dynasty is over, by the way. It might
At
not
least
be
with,
over, but I think it's over.
at least
I
with
think
Belichick, it is. I mean,
I think it's been over.
yeah, it's
It's not over yet. If they lose this week, it'll be over.
just this week.
Yeah.
This week is
I
going to be
think they
the.
play Thursday night against the
Right.
Steelers, another team that's a fucking disaster. That I bet on, and they fucking
Mitch
uh,
Trubisky time, boys.
he
Ooh,
sucks so
mama.
bad.
Hide your mamas.
I mean,
Okay.
how do they? It's funny though. It's like I think I sent you guys this. Somebody sent a thing when the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes. 4 comments out of 5 were Chiefs fans that were absolutely negative towards the pick. It's just crazy that nobody really knows. Like,
No, they don't.
they really don't know.
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It is, and you see it. I've been seeing a lot more in the NBA in recent years too. When these people that are maybe at the end of the lottery or something, or not the 1 or 2 pick, that like the
Sure.
Doncic, people like that are
Well,
drafted
quarterbacks are
like
the biggest
4th or
mystery
5th. Yeah, so
because most receivers in the top 10, like if you're a receiver, you get drafted top 10. The Lions were the only team that could figure out how to draft bust when they got like Charlie Rogers, and I think
well,
they
that's
got
the thing.
another guy.
I'm not. Here's the thing: if you're building a team, though,
Yeah.
like if you could take that Marvin Harrison Jr. pick and flip it into 2 great linemen, that's what I would do.
But my point
Period.
is that
Mhm.
quarterbacks is the one position that you can get completely wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
No,
first round pick overall, second. Like look at the Jets, Zach Wilson. Look at that whole draft: Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields.
ugh.
Mac Jones has been shitty now. And besides Trevor Lawrence, it's a shit show of a quarterback draft. 5 were drafted in the first round, and
A lot of them
4
are dropped in like the top 10.
and pretty much all of them stink except for Trevor Lawrence.
Were there anybody else in that class maybe later on that's doing good now? I'm not sure who exactly was in
You'd
which
have to
class.
look it up. So this
But
was
I'll get back to
2000.
you on that one.
Yeah,
right.
but like Mac Jones, you had
What year was
uh,
Purdy coming in? Was that last
I
year?
think that year. No,
Oh,
maybe
that year was Purdy.
the
Okay.
year after.
No, his was the year after.
He was
Okay.
Mr. Irrelevant. So he was
Right.
drafted after a bunch of guys that are not doing well.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. You really there's a great documentary called The Brady Six about the year Brady was drafted. And like I know I jerk off Brady, but if you watch it's really interesting because like even Mel Kiper's like, we don't really know. Like it's the hardest position to figure out.
Oh,
Like
Davis Mills
literally.
was in that draft.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
fuck.
yeah, Davis Mills. There you
Teams
go.
beating their heads against the wall for whiffing on that.
So I think people like
That's about
CJ
it.
Stroud, but nobody was like, "Oh my God, this guy is like, they're like he could be Haskins, he could be Justin Fields, he could be this guy, he could like,
There are
but
so many variables too, like
yeah,
where you end up, what kind of line do you have, what kind of receivers you got, what kind of coach you got.
Yep.
yeah,
Like, and you're running the whole shit when you're out there, and you're still
yeah,
like a 22-year-old kid. So
and it's
it's
like there's people even who are in Buffalo that are like down on Josh Allen. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? I get it, he turns the ball over a couple times, but he's awesome. Like that's a guy that they went 20 years looking for a quarterback and they couldn't find one.
yeah,
So like be happy you got him, just figure it out around him
yeah,
because he's not the problem.
no, no,
And
he's not.
when you get a good quarterback, like you'll see with the Patriots, I mean Bledsoe was pretty good. And before that they had they were terrible for and they made the Super Bowl in 1985, but they had a really good defense. And football was different. It was based on running a lot more back then and defense. but it's so quarterback oriented. Like if you get a quarterback, it's like holy shit. I mean, the Packers are great. I mean, because
Yeah,
Jordan
I
Love
mean,
looks
the
great.
He looked great.
but
He
how
looks
much of that?
great.
Okay, like so that like you're saying about you don't know it's quarterback, but okay, so now they're moving on to their third quarterback in whatever 20 plus years, and now
Yeah,
this guy's looking good now,
sure.
and he's been sitting behind Rodgers for a few years. So there might be something to the system aspect of it too.
I agree, and that's the problem because these teams they want results so fast,
Yeah.
and then you end up kind of maybe fucking like a Bryce Young up because he's getting his head pounded with a bad team, and like they were. I was watching the Bucks Panthers this weekend. They're like, there's no separation with the wide receivers.
Yeah.
They're like, where's he gonna go? So like, I like him. I think he'll be okay, but too much, like a beat down. There's nothing wrong with sitting. We look at guys who sat and they're legends. I
Yeah.
mean, Brady, Mahomes sat for a year. Purdy sat for a while. I don't know if Will Levis is going to be good, but he sat for like 8 weeks before he got in.
Yeah.
It's true. Damn right.
Well,
Yeah.
you get to catch up to the speed of the game behind the scenes without having the pressure on you as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can sit someone, it's fine, and it's probably preferred. So I don't know. I mean, because most of these guys,
yeah.
no, I don't know anybody who's been like a Stroud where they just come out of the gate and all of a sudden they're in top 3 passer.
And like even like Peyton Manning, he went 1-15 his first season or something, 2-14, and he had growing pains, and it's like, well, he got his reps in. So like he had a bad first year, so he's a guy start. Kind of fuck things up. I think Matt Ryan was probably the first guy to really have a great first year, and because he did, and that was in 2000 and I'm gonna say 7 or 8. They made the playoffs. They went like 10-6. The Falcons.
Yeah.
That kind of was like, hey, rookie quarterbacks can just step right in, and it's not fucking easy.
No, it was not.
It's that's why they also get all these athletic quarterbacks thinking they're going to be Pat Mahomes when it turns out to be a disaster.
Well,
it's also they want to win something. Like it's so the contracts for quarterbacks have exploded so much that you feel like you want to win while they're still on their rookie contract.
You know what it's like, dude? It's like a shiny toy. You get this brand new toy, and they're like, well, you can't play with it for like 6 months, or like you get a fancy car, and you're like, it's sitting in your garage, and you want to fucking take it out. I'm not even a car guy, but I imagine there's a lot of car guys out there, and they're like, no, you can't ride it because it needs work or something. But you're like, but it's sitting in it's a fucking red Porsche that's nicer than a perfect Vagine that like, you just want to take out so bad. And they're like, no, you need 6 months to work on it or something. Nobody wants to wait. You get a new toy, you want to bring that toy out right away.
Damn right.
Yeah, and it sucks because you want the problem is you want that toy to be entering a good, safe environment too.
That
which
is true.
they don't think about that either.
No.
So
I mean, there's like, there's my buddy who's a Bengals fan, and the year they got Jamar Chase, and they could have got I think his name is he's a offensive lineman on the Lions who's really great. And it's like, well, what do? Do you get the wide receiver that's like elite, or you get the offensive lineman? And my buddy was like, they should have got the offense at the time. Now he realizes like Jamar Chase is such a talent, but there's tough decisions that teams have to make during the draft. That is like, do you go for the shiny toy or do you go for the,
well, it's a thing though. I'll tell you what, right now that shiny toy is rusting. Like that's another lost year of that shiny toy where maybe if you had a better offensive lineman, your quarterback wouldn't be hurt.
That is true. It's very
like the Lions had got Penny Sewell a few years ago, and
that was who they and that's who the Bengals were gonna get. And then they're like, well, Jamar Chase is still out there. What do we do? We get the fancy wide receiver, we get the really great offensive lineman. I mean, you can't go wrong, I guess, but Burrow does get knocked around a lot.
Well, I think the thing was that Penny Sewell was like one everybody agreed, like, okay, if you have to have one lock of who's going to be successful in this draft, this is the guy.
Was he the same year as that Northwestern Slater?
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure. And getting back to my point though, that's the thing. Like every position is easier to grade than quarterback. It's so crazy what a crapshoot it is.
I just feel like there's way more intangibles for quarterback than any other position.
There are. There's just too many variables.
Yeah.
Too many variables out there for what a quarterback has to do in the game is.
I mean, like when I've watched every Jet game this year, so I watched a lot of Zach Wilson, and I think he's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. And I'm also grading it on like Tim Boyle is a bad quarterback, but he was a bad quarterback in college. So he shouldn't even be playing. But he's better than Zach Wilson, which is insane to think about. And I'm like, Zach is one of those guys that with like in shorts, he can throw the ball behind his back. He can do all this crazy. He can do shit that only Patrick Mahomes can do, but he can't read like an easy defense, or he can't audible, or he can't figure out where the matchups are. And it's like, it's just wild to think like some of these like, I thought Zach was going to be great. And then you realize, like, oh my God, there's so many things.
Yeah.
It goes to show you how crazy different the NFL is to like college ball.
Yes.
Do you think Robert Saleh is in danger of?
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean his defense has performed great.
I'll tell you why.
Do you think he has any accountability for the offense, or is it all just going?
Here's what I've been hearing, because I follow like a lot of I'm kind of like low key root for the Jets, the Bills, and the Patriots all together, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's insane,
everybody, but
that's crazy, but okay.
But I am rooting for the Dolphins because I'm loving Hard Knocks in season, which I'm over football, so I never really watch in season, but watching Mike McDaniel is a pleasure. Yes. And he's his speeches are pretty funny. But what I see with Saleh is he came in there, the defense was one of the worst defenses in the NFL. He turned it into one of the best super fast. So that's what he did right away. So he did value. They went all in with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers brought all his guys in. Once Aaron Rodgers went down, it was like all those guys quit. The fucking the Reggie Cobb, Randall Cobb, who else just kind of quit? The other wide receiver from Iowa State.
Yeah,
he's been a
Lazard, Alan Lazard.
He's got the most drops this year, so he's been terrible. So and Nathaniel Hackett is awful. So when you're getting Aaron Rodgers, you kind of I got the defense, Aaron Rodgers got the offense, because Aaron Rodgers is the guy.
Sure.
When Tom Brady came to Tampa Bay, he was the fucking guy. As soon as they started winning all the time, Tom Brady basically told the Bruce Arians, I'm taking over. If you want to win, just step aside and let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they did for Aaron Rodgers. And once he went down, it's not his fault. And there's even things that Saleh had to play Zach Wilson. And they also set it up that Zach Wilson had no competition. They couldn't bench him. Because they had Tim Boyle and then they got Trevor Siemian. And they said this week we needed a spark, so we brought in Trevor Siemian. It's
it's funny.
It's awful. It's
pathetic. Very funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jim loves it.
I do love it. I love it, just a good shit show. And the Jets,
yeah.
The whole Aaron Rodgers thing with the Jets, since then, they've kind of just been a shit show.
Yeah.
It's amazing because they were the darlings of the NFL. They got the Hard Knocks. All of Hard Knocks was an Aaron Rodgers jerk-off session where it's he just made this incredible throw and he's a great teammate. And everybody's like, oh, I've heard bad things about it, but he's such a great teammate. And the Jets are finally on the map. And then one play, it's over. And I don't think that's Saul's fault. And the defense, as mad as they should be, they haven't quit.
All right.
Do you think Jabril Peppers, a former Michigan guy, should be in trouble for he got caught on a hot mic versus the Giants?
What did he say?
He said, "You're lucky we're ass."
I like that. I don't think he should
I
be
mean,
in
he ain't
trouble.
lying.
He's just speaking the truth. I think,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
dude, it's like if he said that and he was loafing, that's one thing. But if he's trying and he's just admitting it, like, hey, no matter what, we're ass.
did we talk about Tommy DeVito, by the way?
No. What do you
I
want to talk
love-
about Tommy D?
How much you love him because he's awesome?
Well, have you seen his dad?
Yes.
Luke, you gotta
Awesome.
check that out.
Okay, I'm gonna go look
Have
up.
you guys ever seen the movie Basketball?
Yes.
Do you remember when they played like the New York, New Jersey
Oh my
team?
god.
and they-
Okay, yeah. I'm
and
just
they were
looking at
all
a
like
picture of him.
they all had like wife beaters and they're all like in the Sopranos.
Yes.
This is literally cool because it's like a local. It's like if
This is
your
the most
team was-
Italian family I've
This
ever
is
seen.
the first thing that comes up when you type in Tommy DeVito dad.
Yeah,
Apparently his name is Tom DeVito, his
of
father.
course.
Tom DeVito can change a hot water heater in the time it takes for his NY Giants quarterback son to win a football game.
Well, here's the other thing. You
I
know, he
love
lives
that.
at home, and his mom makes him like chicken scallopini every night. And
Yeah.
Oh.
like he lives at home.
This is the most Italian family I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
So it's great because it's like, what if the Patriots had like a mass hole, like the biggest Irish mass hole asshole jerk off playing quarterback? What if the Rams quarterback was an actor that was auditioning?
Dude, if the Rams would get someone like Caleb Williams.
Yeah, there you go.
Tony
So
Gabagool, Grandma, it's nothing but fat
it's
and
pretty
nitrates.
funny because it's like a regional guy starring for his regional team.
salami, gabagool.
Yeah.
Oh, the gabagool.
And they go like this when they score. He goes like this, and the
Let's
whole
get back to that
it's fun.
gabagool.
Oh, Matty, I've been on the Tommy DeVito train for like 4 years.
I know you have.
Love this guy.
From Syracuse to Illinois.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love Tommy DeVito.
Do you think
I mean, it's such a regional thing. I've never seen such a regional guy be a star for his local team.
yeah, it's pretty
Because I remember rooting for the Red Sox, and I used to always read these articles about the curse of the Bambino, and they're like, you know, these kids come here, they get drafted, and they're from California, and they're from Florida, and they have no idea about how crazy the fans are. And, you know, you're going to get like, you know, these masshole guys yelling at you, and you're like, well, I just got drafted, and I don't know anything about this shit. But Tommy DeVito is like, he is Jersey.
Is he going to challenge Daniel Jones for the starting position next year?
Update everybody.
You know what
Article, Tyrod Taylor disappointed to learn he's lost Giants QB job to Tommy DeVito.
Oh, no.
Dude, you can't take it away from Tommy D. He's won.
Tyrod Taylor will be on another team next
Yeah.
year and make it in. He'll be starting by week 2 due to injury of some other quarterback.
Tommy-
He's the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, he is.
Him and
Don't
Josh
put-
Dobbs.
Yeah,
Tommy
I think the fairy
DeVito-
tale's over for Josh Dobbs too, by the way.
Just send him to another team. He'll have another great 2 weeks.
right.
Yeah.
And then he'll reset again. Josh Dobbs should just like spend his entire NFL career hopping from team to team like 2 to 3 weeks at a time.
That'd be dope. I'd love that. There's probably some rule against how often you can trade a guy, I guess. But
Well, I
maybe
don't think
not.
anybody.
I don't know.
would
I
be
feel
on
like
more
Josh
teams.
Johnson's been everywhere.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Johnson probably have been on the most teams.
I
Okay.
think so.
I'll give you $20 right now. I'll Venmo you, Jim. Don't look it up. Give me every
Oh.
team Ryan Fitzpatrick's been on
Whoa. I don't know if I
from start to the end.
In
I don't even know
sequential
why I
order?
can do that.
I don't even know. Yeah. So like Bills.
Nah, you're way
Dolphins.
off.
Well, didn't he not start with the Bills?
Well, no, he did, but he didn't start there.
Oh, I thought he did.
No,
Is it the
Cincinnati.
Falcons,
Do I have to do them in order?
Yeah,
Bucks?
Oh no.
yeah, it's hard.
I don't know if I can do it in order.
I don't think I could. I know
Was
he
it
started-
Jets?
I think Cincinnati, Rams. Then he went to the Bills. then maybe the Dolphins, then like the Texans, then the
I have it right here, Matty, if you
okay.
want.
Yeah.
The Rams,
Okay. I'm already wrong.
the Bengals,
Yep.
the Bills,
Crazy.
the Titans,
Yep.
the Texans,
Yep.
the Jets,
Yep.
the Bucks,
7,
the Dolphins,
8,
the Commanders.
9.
It's amazing
Jeez.
how long his career lasted after that like magical Bills seasons too.
2005 to 2021.
He won 10 games with the Jets. That's incredible.
Wow, shit.
What
Yeah.
about Josh Johnson? You have his?
I got his right here, Matty.
That's going to be awesome.
It's a lot. His is way longer.
Okay, what's his?
The Bucks,
Okay.
the 49ers, the Sacramento Mountain Lions, the Browns.
Oh, now Jim's getting hard.
The Bengals,
Yeah.
the 49ers again, the Bengals again, the Jets, the Colts, the Bills, the Ravens, the Giants, the Texans, the Raiders, the Redskins, San Diego Fleet of the AAF, the Lions, LA Wildcats of the XFL, 49ers again, Jets again, Ravens again, Broncos, 49ers again, and
3
currently
times.
he is on the Ravens as a backup.
That's insane.
That's so crazy.
He's probably worth like 20 million too.
Oh,
It's
he's. Do you think he owns a house? There's like, because
yeah,
most of
you
these
should buy a house in every market and then just rent them out all over
You
the
know,
country.
hockey fans are
in
funny.
2015 he was on 4 different teams.
Yeah. There's times with Yager, when Yager played, guys would wear every jersey of his and they all sit next to each other, and he had like 12 teams at the end.
I feel like he'll always get a practice squad spot because I think I read an article about Josh Johnson in particular that he can like memorize a playbook in less than a
Good.
week.
I think
Like,
he's a good player.
He's just super good at like mimicking other quarterbacks.
Every time he comes in, he's good, and I'm sure he's great as like a scout guy too. And it's like, hey, keep making that money.
Yeah, they say he's like one of the best like scout team quarterbacks because he's just good at like just seeing film and he can just replicate.
It's weird and it's wild because like they said that Browning has had 22 transactions so far in like 4 years. So he keeps getting cut, brought back, brought in for.
That'd be
and
so
like that,
stressful.
but to have a game like last night, like it kind of secures him for like, I mean, he's better than anybody the Jets have. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he now can go like next year, he can sign a contract and get like guaranteed money, even as a backup.
All
Hell
right.
of a game he had last night.
Looking ahead, so a fun stat about this week is if Trevor Lawrence can't play Sunday, 4 of the 7 current AFC playoff teams will start a backup quarterback in week 14.
It's a tough,
Wow.
vicious league. It's a violent, brutal league, you know, like there's injuries and it's crazy. Like you can get hurt on the second play of the year, like Aaron Rodgers, or you can get hurt like Trevor Lawrence or Burrow in the middle of the season. But I think Lawrence will be back. I think he'll miss a couple weeks. It just seemed like a bad sprain.
Yeah.
And
He'll
it wasn't
definitely
like
be back.
he's a tough guy. He's a tough, like, he impresses me because he looks skinny and whatnot, but he's a fucking gamer. I was totally wrong off him. Like, that stupid Sports Illustrated article threw me off when he was like football isn't everything. He's pretty committed. And he seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, he does. I've come around on Trevor Lawrence.
All right.
I mean, he's a weird looking guy, but he's a good guy and he's a good player.
He looks like the kid that got his ass beat and Dazed and Confused, that pitcher.
Oh yeah. With his ass with Ben Affleck.
My personal countdown clock for the Dolphins is still going, by the way.
Like, you know, Dazed and Confused is one of the movies I can watch anytime, anywhere, any place.
Yes.
And you can watch it any spot in the movie and be like, you're just like right there.
A fantastic film for sure.
Absolutely.
So coming up this week, some of the notable games, we have Niners, Seahawks, Jags, Browns, Cowboys, Eagles. Any other matchups you guys are looking forward to this week?
I think the Seahawks are kind of toast. I think the big matchup are the Cowboys, Eagles. And I'm like, again, you're going to ask the Eagles to go on the road. I mean, what a 4-game swing
Sure.
And this is a game the Cowboys really want.
And the
They-
Cowboys have been crazy at home.
Yeah, and they had a couple extra days. It seemed like they were looking past the Seahawks. So that's the big game. I think that's Sunday night. That's going to be a great one. What other games are on? Myself.
Bills Chiefs could be good.
I think
Yep.
Jags Browns. We'll see.
Man, if the Bills had a better record, that would be a great fucking game.
Yeah.
They're just, but they need to win. They don't win. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like everybody's sort of they don't care. Like they're waiting
I
for
mean,
next year.
what a shitty Thursday game.
The Patriots Steelers.
Wait,
Yeah.
who?
Yeah, somebody told me like their friend was flying to Pittsburgh or this week and they were going to go watch that game. I'm like, that would have been awesome like 5 years ago.
I
Like,
know. I mean,
No.
Vikings Raiders is pretty good. Broncos Chargers is pretty good.
I
Then we
think
have-
Broncos Chargers is a good one.
Listen, bro. Now that the Dolphins defense is coming around,
I'm
this
on
is their window. This is their window to make the Super Bowl. They have
So-
no excuses.
I mean, Matty, I'm still waiting. So this week won't matter. And next week, I don't think will matter for the Dolphins
Yeah.
either. But the 24th, Christmas Eve,
Yeah,
we're playing the Cowboys.
that's gonna be fun. But they
And-
got their division locked up. They should have beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs wide receivers are ass. And as long as Travis Kelce's head is in Taylor Swift's whatever.
hoo-ha.
Yeah. By the way, they only showed her a couple times. I feel like they pushed it down a lot this week because she was at the game. I
I'm
don't blame
still,
her though.
I'm still just waiting for the Dolphins to beat a team with a winning record until I believe.
Yeah.
I
They
still
also lost
believe.
Jalen Phillips, who's really good.
That's true, and that hurts.
All right,
But,
guys, we're talking about all this bullshit sports when really the real thing everybody wants to talk about is the NBA Cup.
Hell yeah,
What
baby! The
fuck is
mid-season
going
tournament,
on? I have
baby.
no idea what's going on, and it's like the commercial is great. You get the Christopher from fucking The Sopranos.
Christopher
acting
Gabagool.
all he's acting all Tommy DeVito's dad. Like, I got this idea. We have an in-season tournament, and the winners play in Vegas, and then the losers get buried in the desert or something. I mean, it's good commercial, but like, it's foolish to do this during the NFL and the college football. Like, the climax of that, like, you might want to stay away from that shit. Like, it's
Well,
a bad time.
the courts, they're going bonkers with those courts right
The
now.
courts are so dumb.
You want to hear a good Michael Imperioli story?
Yeah.
Christopher. So I had a friend of a friend was visiting town, and they're like, we're sitting at a cafe in LA, and there's like, man, where are all the celebrities I keep hearing about? And I go, like, turn around, and he was right behind the girls.
Well, that's a better story than Matthew Perry blowing up
the toilet at my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the Matthew Perry story is much better, but what do I know? Anyways, in the NBA Cup news, the Bucks beat the Knicks.
They're in
to
the
advance to
semifinals,
the
baby.
Semifinals. That's the quarterfinals. And in the West, the Lakers are currently up over the Suns by 5 in the fourth quarter.
So it'll be Lakers versus Pelicans probably, and then Bucks versus Pacers.
I guess. And by the way, everybody's roasting the fuck out of Zion for just coasting on talent at this point. Like Charles Barkley and everybody's ripping him for just jogging down the court. They literally did a sprint count on him to see how many times a game he sprinted. It was like once.
I love that.
You know, certain guys just don't. It's hard sometimes. Like, you can have a lot of talent, but like if you don't want it, you don't want
That's all he is. I mean, if you can get by on talent and get 23 points, 10 boards a game,
There's
okay.
like
I guess that's
I'd say there's like 3 or 4 games a year when he'll turn it on, and those are entertaining as fuck.
right. And he'll still get like a max contract whenever, you know.
It's like Dwight Howard. How many years did he stay in the league with like just being a giant body?
Yeah. quite a bit. I mean, he
But
had flashes of greatness too,
it
but
shows you also how great Shaq was, because Shaq, is as much shit he got for not hitting free throws. The guy has rings. The
oh
guy was
God. I mean, he was in the
unstoppable.
finals averaging like
Yeah.
40-20. It was
And the
insane.
guy
Mhm.
cared and he played hard. And even when he
Yeah.
was on the Celtics, I used to watch him and he had nothing left. He still played really, really hard. And hey, some guys, like, you get too many things too fast. You just don't have the drive to.
Well,
It's just not
Shaq,
in
like
you.
I think Shaq's dad was like a military guy
Yeah.
too, so he
From
was
what I
never
heard,
like.
Zion Williamson's into like comic books and stuff like that. I don't know how much of like that killer mentality he has. Like, the killers are like Kobe and Jordan.
Like
Those guys are,
psychopaths.
yeah, they
Yeah,
are. Tom Brady, they're psychopaths, and but they win, and it's like you study them, and you're like, well, they can be psychos, but that's what it takes to win, and I don't have any problem with that. It's sports, man. It's competition.
It's
When
true.
I play poker, I'm out to kill, man. I'm not out there to
you,
fuck around.
you like Toby Maguire? You want to eat their soul when you?
I don't go that far, but if you don't focus, you don't concentrate, you're wasting your time,
No, that's what I
and
love in that movie. What was that? What's the game? Someone's game.
Molly's game.
Molly's
Great
game, and
movie,
the
by the
guy
way.
who was like basically playing who Toby Maguire was.
Yeah, no,
It,
it is
it was
120%.
yeah, especially when you have all the money you could ever want, and then you just still want to take shit
Well,
from
it
other
was it
people.
was so obvious because they're like a certain huge movie star played by Michael Cera, so he's like not like a big macho guy.
Right, like a nebbish
Yeah,
idiot.
yeah. So, and I knew Toby Maguire was a big poker guy, and then a guy I played poker with played with Toby. He played like in a home game with Toby, and he's like,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, that's him. It's confirmed, so it is him." And yeah, and
Can you tell? Do people's poker's personality is that a reflection of their real life personality, or can you have a different persona when you're
no,
playing poker?
I one time was when poker first got big on ESPN. I liked this guy Dutch Boyd, who was a
Yeah.
psychopath. You remember Dutch?
Um. Yeah. Wait. Maybe I'm getting my Dutches mixed up. No,
I
never
think
mind.
again he was a young cat that did.
No.
He finished like the year Moneymaker won.
Uh-huh.
He finished like 13th, and he tried
Okay.
to bluff Moneymaker, and Moneymaker made a sick call, and he was being a real dick to Moneymaker. He was like staring him down,
Uh-huh.
and he was like the young cat, and he was like,
Yeah.
and then he got institutionalized. But I hit him up one time, and I'm like, I like you if you're ever in New York. So he liked comedy, so he came to see me do stand up, and then we went out to eat afterwards. And he was telling me about poker, and he's like Daniel Negreanu is really nice because it's a psychological thing. He knows if he's really nice to players, players aren't going to be are not going to be bad about losing to him, and they're going to give him information. They're going to tell him what they had because it's fun to play with Daniel, and he's really nice. And it's like it's a strategy.
Yeah. But
And
no
he's
one
like
wants to
he's not
fucking
really that
watch
nice
that
of a
shit.
guy, but he understands like if you're really nice to guys, especially amateurs, they're gonna be like, "Look what I had, Daniel," or like, and he gets information, and it's a edge he has where other guys go the other way. But like if you met Phil Hellmuth, you know who he is. He's the poker
Oh yeah,
brat,
yeah. He was a dipshit.
the dickhead. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when I heard, if you meet him in person, he's super nice.
Oh really?
Just like it's a way of playing. Like
Okay.
he gets under people's skin.
So
People
Toby
don't.
Maguire could be an actual nice person without.
He was part of the Pussy Patrol.
Oh
I guess
yeah, the
that.
Pussy
Remember the Pussy
Patrol with
Patrol?
Yeah.
DiCaprio.
Yeah. Lucas Haas.
There was some movie they made that was sort of loosely based on that with all those guys in it, and DiCaprio had it crushed afterwards because he blew up shortly afterwards with
Yeah.
Titanic. So they like he I don't know what happened with that movie, but they crushed, like they didn't allow it to be released. It was like,
I heard he had a crush. He wanted to bang Jesse Spano,
yeah, who didn't?
and like they beat the shit out of her boyfriend or her boy.
The
Something
Pussy
weird like that. I don't know exactly
Don't
the story.
fuck with the Pussy Patrol.
I've heard Tobey Maguire's a dick though.
I'm sure. I mean, when
I'm
you're
sure
he
raised
is.
and like to be a child star, when all these people on set are just catering to you, all these adults who've worked their ass off in life, and you're just sitting there and can play pretend really well. And Oh boy,
Also, that movie
there's no
didn't-
hope, man.
That
just
movie didn't really portray him in a very good light. If
No.
anything, it portrayed him in
Piece of
a
shit.
real shitty light. So, but that was it. Have you ever seen that movie, Jim?
Molly's
It's called Molly's
Game.
Game, and
Check
she
it
was
out.
I've heard of it.
she was
It's an
almost like
interesting
a
story for sure.
she was like a borderline Olympic skier who broke her leg, so she was out, and somehow she moved to LA and she got like involved in running a very high stakes illegal poker game.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty.
she would
That
run
sounds
these
awesome.
like and she was really hot and hot in real life, and she would run these like $1 million poker games with celebrities and really rich people, and then it would get like dangerous. It started to get dangerous.
Yeah, because like the Russian mafia was getting involved.
Yeah.
Damn.
And Kevin Costner is terrific in that movie. So good.
Yeah,
as
I
her,
enjoyed it.
as her dad. So, all right, guys, is there anything else you want to discuss before we dip?
I just want to say next time I make an appearance on one of Jim's other podcasts,
God.
I deserve the proper respect.
The ultimate callback.
I'll
to
pour
Matty's
one out for you next
grievances.
time, Matty.
Listen, because I'm the dude.
Yeah, you better have a
I'm the
special.
captain.
You better have a
I'm the
special sounds when he's
I'll
entering
have some
the
cognac
chat.
ready to pop when Matty pops in.
Absolutely.
Maybe if that kid, if in next year too, if that kid starts playing good for Arkansas, maybe I'll try to get his dad on. I haven't spoken to his father in God 20 so years, but you know, I'll never forget me being on the soccer team with him and him getting in a fight with another player on the other team and putting me in for him as like the biggest insult towards him you could ever get. Like the last guy in the bench, Goldberg, get in there for the best player. So I'll always have that.
You will always have that, Matty, and we will always have you.
Damn right.
All right,
I
everybody.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Sports Hole, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Sports Ho!